Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. Man. I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Maybe not Mike Washington. He is still on assignment, so we have none other than A.D. Drew. So welcome to episode 689. Countdown to 700 is right around the corner of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, a show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports. For institutions large or small, from the NEIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Charles Bishop and A.D. Drew. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live KSOH 1230 AM studios with Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer Ralph Cooper, and the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Let's bring everybody on board and see how the crew is doing today. Charles, how you doing today?
Doing well, Doc, doing well. I've done another 365 around the old calendar there, so I want to first and foremost thank everybody for all the birthday wishes. Very appreciative of that. So, man, we're 1 week away now. This is football time.
Yes, happy birthday. Let me say that first, and then let me beat you up a little bit. You know, he got so many big time on us now, A.D. Drew. I call him now, he don't answer the phone. He finally call you back. I say, man, just here to wish you happy birthday. We're gonna take you out, whatever. Oh, I got to do this. I got to do that. I was like, man, okay. Let me know. I come in today and say, hey, you know, lunches, and I need to go over to the library. I got to read this, and you know. He said, you know, I get you. He's big time, like the dean or something. I said, oh, okay. I'm sorry. But in all seriousness, happy birthday, Mr. Charles Bishop.
Thank you, Doc. Appreciate that.
As your friends out there call you Chuck.
Yes. In a whole nother world.
Really close to you,
right? A whole nother world. I know this Chuck. So.
Better Chuck than Chuck E.
Right.
Yeah. I get a little nervous then, especially if it was a little dog running around here with it. Today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THD Agency. THD Agency is a company that provides sporting, educational, consulting, and data analytics. It must be good. The lab listeners are climbing on in here, giving us what they got. So let me check with you, A.D. Drew. How are you doing today?
It's always great to be on this award-winning show. Just reminding everybody we were voted the best HBCU podcast out there. And the best HBCU podcast is hosted on the network that was voted the best Black sports podcast network that's out there. So, you know, it's just always good to keep company. So if Chuck can big time it, I can big time it too, but I'm a big time it for a different reason. And
we're gonna nickname y'all the big time crew.
And also,
and it fits because you know Mike Washington, my big brother, as they call it in terms of the fraternity world, he didn't big time me long time ago. So I'm just saying.
Speaking of Mike, you know,
yeah,
Doc, he can't show up for class. But he gonna show up for the party because he got his media credential and everything for next week's SWAC challenge. So you know that's
what I'm saying. That's why I say he really
not going to school, but
shows up for the big event. At least I got Charles still rolling with me. I don't know how long that's gonna last. Speaking of our guest in the last segment, give him a little love early is Mr. John Grant. and we're going to release the top 7. So it's going to be interesting with these two teams. We know by now that people to do the calculation that these two teams are in the top 7. So you get to see where they are. So we have a top 7 matchup in the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge kickoff. With that being said, as we were down there in Birmingham for the SWAC Media Day, if you would, Football Media Day specifically, 2025, he talked about his concerns of Mike and how, he's always out on assignment. So he's like, we need to relook at this show, move Charles up to the second seat, Dr. Cavil, Charles Bishop, and guests, or even move AD Drew into the third seat, which he regularly has now. But then Charles did something. I guess he big time Mr. John Grant. Everything I said. I was like, man, you got, they talk about people getting fired on their day off. Charles got moved up and down a chair in less than an hour.
I was about to say, all in an hour. I was like, what did I do? What did I do?
He wasn't even part of the.
It must be what you didn't do.
I know, right?
What is going on? With that being said, let's get back to some serious business because we got some HBCU sports to talk about, or what's coming up at least. A lot of stuff is in the news, so we're going to talk about it. I'm going to go to you, Charles, and let me know what's on your mind. What's exciting you about the HBCU sports landscape at this time?
Yeah, let's start today off with some news from out of the SWAC office as the SWAC's Andrew Roberts was promoted to Associate Commissioner for External Relations and Strategic Partnerships. And this comes to us from the SWAC office. The Southwestern Athletic Conference has announced the promotion of Andrew Roberts to the title of Associate Commissioner for External Relations and Strategic Partnerships. Roberts joined the SWAC as Assistant Commissioner for Media Relations in January of 2019 and was promoted to the title of Associate Commissioner of Media Relations in 2022. This is a quote from Dr. Charles McClellan. Mr. Roberts is a valued member of the staff here at the Southwestern Athletic Conference. We look forward to the continued progress and growth in the areas in which he oversees. In his current role with the conference office, Roberts serves as a primary point of contact for league external relations, promotion, strategic partnerships, marketing, corporate sponsorships, deliverables, and media relations, event broadcast, and digital social media. So kudos to Andrew Roberts.
We just saying the brother talented is.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
Shout out PV produces productive people, but this big time must be going around because I texted him earlier about his congratulations. He didn't get nothing back. I say so. Everybody big time in folks right now. So, but shout out Andrew Roberts, well deserved as the conference has grown. A lot of things, excitement that he's getting done. Obviously, the announcement with all together, and he'll have a huge part of that with the SWAC TV. It makes sense that he's taking that big step. Associate Commissioner, boy, I tell you, that's nice to have on your resume in terms of that. I'm sure financially it's not a bad thing either, but I won't get into his pockets. Even though I'm like, hey, brother, share some brothers some love. With that being said, let me go over there to you, AD Drew. What's on your mind today?
Andrew, I know we're going to see you next week at the BX SWAC Challenge, so I'm going to let you take me out for your celebratory drink. That's all I'm going to say.
He might owe a round.
Hey, he might owe a round.
Just one.
That's just one. But if I get him to buy a round and somebody else to buy a round, and somebody else to buy a round, by the time it comes for me to buy a round, won't nobody want to coming out on the good side.
Right. I like the plan. I like the strategy. You gotta reveal that one.
Yeah. What I want to get into, Dr. Cavil, and story, just what we witnessed, and we witnessed it on Friday night. We've always known that people have had talent. They down HBCU guys. They down guys who transfer from HBCUs to P5. But one, Mr. Shadua Sanders made a lot of people feel. We on the podcast. We on the Family Fitness podcast. I'm not in education anymore. He made them feel stupid. You can't use stupid in the classroom.
No, you can't.
He made a lot with this corporate, so we can say it. He made a lot of people feel stupid after opening up the game rather slow. Obviously, we know the nerves were probably up there, but from mid first quarter on, I mean, he looked like the Shedeur Sanders that we saw and witnessed at Jackson State. I personally witnessed what he did to my Rattlers, and then we saw what he did when he went out to Colorado with the 2 touchdown passes.
He did
What
it
he
to
was supposed to play was
Carlos's
number 4 on the depth chart. I
Jaguars.
guarantee you, he's not number 4 anymore.
Yeah. Good point. Let me do this real quick before I go back to you, Charles, for your news of the day. What do you want to add on there? Christopher Dukes, G. Boone, Edwin Moore, Jeff Roberts, Travis Jerome is in the house sending us some love. Appreciate it. You know, that's the Jackson State University communication specialist doing his thing. Stuttering Noop, Jumbo 97 VUU for life, Israel Carey, and that's Dr. Carey. Make sure I put respect on that. EA, he earned it for sure. WSS Ram Nation, he'll join us on Thursday along with 80 Drew. They'll go into the specialization of giving us love for the mid-major division, looking at all teams, but specifically CIAA and SIAC. Who else we have in here getting it done? Daryl Smith. Oh, Zach McKinnell is showing us some love. Appreciate you, Zach. I see the work you're doing out there, letting everybody understand the space to be covering all FCS, but make sure that he puts in time and love for the HBCU. One thing I'll say about Zach, though, I do appreciate that he went back and did his homework in terms of making sure that it wasn't just cultural appropriation. He got aligned with some folks at least, make sure that he was doing his due diligence. I can appreciate that from that perspective. With that being said, let me go back to you, Charles. What's on your mind, continues to be on your mind, I should say.
Yeah, let's take a look at this. Alabama State's Talia Wickett. She was named the 24-25 SWAC Woman of the Year. A standout student athlete last season, Wickett was a key contributor for the Alabama State Lady Hornets women's cross country and track and field teams for her efforts. Wickett was selected as a member of the 2025 All-SWAC first team while claiming first place finishes at the 2025 SWAC Indoor and Outdoor Track and Field Championships in the 800 meters. Off the track, she was also an exemplary ambassador for the university, excelling athletically and academically and within the local community. This is a quote from her. "My journey hasn't been easy, transferring schools, adjusting to new environments, and juggling multiple responsibilities, but every challenge has made me stronger." So congratulations to Talia Wickett for being the 24-25 SWAC Woman of the Year.
Good stuff, good stuff. Let me go to the other channel as we're on multiple social media platforms. I'm going to shout these two out. We got Walter on here showing us love. Carol, PV's finest, are certainly one of those out there. Chuck, and that is Chuck Hunt for everybody that knows. Chuck certainly gets it in terms of his
Always.
Emma Price out here showing a lot of love from Daytona Beach. Man, it must be nice to be
Hell Wildcats. All right.
Yes. Beach love.
I want to see how these look.
Edwards out here getting it done. She said Emma wanted to make sure it said happy birthday to you, Charles.
Thank you, Emma. I appreciate that.
Willie Alex Hines always representing the CIAA, as they like to say around those parts, for life, baby. So just want to give out those individuals sharing some time with us this evening. Let me go to you, Drew, for the last part of what we'll talk about, some HBCU thoughts on your mind. Any additional stuff that you want to get out there that's just burning on your chest, as they might say?
Wait. I just lost my place on the article. Yeah. How about the probable game of the year in the MEAC has been moved to a Friday night?
Yeah,
that's right. One of the HBCU's biggest games of 2025 will now be played on Friday Night Lights as South Carolina State will face the North Carolina Central Eagles now on Friday, November 14th. That game is scheduled for a 5 p.m. kickoff. Yes, take a half day, everybody, because you definitely are going to want to see this game. It's a 5 p.m. Eastern time kickoff for Charles and Doc over there in Central Time. Don't miss the first half because you got the wrong 5 o'clock, everybody. So game is going to be live on the mothership on ESPN. Not Deuce, not you, not Plus, on the mothership. So
I like that. I like that.
Exposure.
I know a lot of people have concerns with the Friday, but this is taking this next huge leap. You know, you
right.
Prime TV,
Here we
ESPN,
are. Yeah.
You got to make that commitment. I'll say this much in terms of my commitment. I have a home game, Prairie View, on Saturday, so it's always a challenge as I have a suite up there, and I'm dedicated for that for all the folks that participate in the suite. So I have to kind of base my schedule on that to make sure we get that done correctly. But when I saw that, I instantly looked up. So I booked my return trip, leaving out of Durham, if you would, for that Saturday morning to make sure I'm back in time. Based on some workload and what I got to do there, I'll determine when I'm getting out or where I'm coming from to get in. I was this close last year to making it work out, but schedule coming out of Chicago with the delayed flight messed everything up. But now I got a chance to get it all right, see if I can put my media request in. So I'm going to see if I can make this work. I want to be in the house for that game there. The other thing that I was reminded of real quick was by WSSU Ram that CIAA championship game is that Saturday. But unfortunately, I can't stay for that, or I'd have got 2 for 1 in terms of what that looks like. So wanted to put that out there a little bit in terms of what that looks like. Good information. With that being said, let's take our first break. We'll come back on the other side. It's time to release the top 7. This is where you start really, at least at the preseason mark, those that should be in the position to make a run at a conference championship as well as a national championship. Last year, we started with 7. We ended with 5 of those teams in that top 7. We'll see what it looks like this year. We'll be right back after this first break.
Football fans, HBCU football is back in the ATL with the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff. Representing the MEAC, North Carolina Central, and representing the SWAC, Southern Eagles, Jaguars, the Marching Sound Machine, the Human Jukebox. The kickoff trophy is up for grabs, and bragging rights are on the line. The rivalry is real. Bring the family and join us pre-game for the fun-filled Coca-Cola fan experience, including band jamborees, food, activations, and fellowship. For tickets and information, visit MEACSWACchallenge.com.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
Get ready for the inaugural Unity Classic, Saturday, September 13th at Nathaniel Glover Community Field and Stadium. It's a clash of the Virginia Union Panthers of the CIAA and the Edward Waters Tigers of the SIAC. Plus, an HBCU band battle between the Edward Waters Triple Threat Marching Band and the Virginia Union Ambassadors of Sound. The inaugural Unity Classic goes down in Duval.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
History? Yeah, we built that. pride, we fuel that. And on August 30th, we run that. Two powerhouse HBCUs, Howard Bison, FAMU Rattlers, one legendary showdown under the Miami lights at Hard Rock Stadium. The energy unmatched, the culture undeniable, the vibes straight HBCU. 2025 Invesco QQQ Orange Blossom Classic. Get your tickets and book your hotel now at orangeblossomclassic.com. Saturday, August 30th at 4 p.m. in Miami Gardens.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. It's time to unveil the top 7. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab as we do it on the show here. Let's start with this top 7. Let's look at who is number 7 as we bring up the poll rankings and see what's going on here. This team has been in the news for a lot of different reasons over the years, so folks will be interested to see what their thoughts are. They took a dip last year. That is number 7. We're looking at Prairie View A&M Panthers that were 5-7, 3-5 last year. In 2024, they come in at 7 on the ranking with 151 points. As we start to continue to move up, we have number 6, Morgan State Bears. They're out of the MEAC. As you know, Prairie View's out of the SWAC, founding members of the SWAC back in 1920. They were the only public institution in the SWAC at that time. Talking a little bit about the Bears. Bears have been right there in the mojo. They picked 3rd to finish in the conference this year. Some people say they're only a quarterback away. We'll see if that has changed for this year. They were 6-6 last year, 3-2 in the MEAC in 2024, 168 points. Moving on up to number 5.
Slow loading, Dr. Cavil.
Say what?
The slides are slow loading.
All right, no problem. We'll put it up as we discuss about it and we'll unveil it. And number 5, we have South Carolina State Bulldogs. They finished last year at 9-3, went undefeated in the conference. And that is in the MEAC there in terms of number 5, 9-3. Looking for a quarterback, lost some things, but a lot of folks believe well coached coming at, but there's some questions there. This team does have one first place vote. Somebody thinks that they should be at the very top of the poll in terms of how they calculated things. Have 179 points. Chennis Berry, we talked a little bit about this is the game. They will be on the road this year as they play on that Friday night. A lot of people think this will be the game that decides the MEAC. We'll see what that looks like as we get into number 4. We leave the MEAC and we head back into the SWAC. We have Southern Jaguars. They won the division, played for a championship last year. Literally one game away, if you would, in terms of finding themselves in the Celebration Bowl for 2024. It looks like they want to get there in 2025. They can be that magical team, one of 2 of them, that can start the year literally in Atlanta and finish year in Atlanta as they are in the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge kickoff. And so that game will feature at least a number 4 ranked team, and that is the Southern Jaguars coming out of SWAC. 8-5, 7-1, as I said, 2024. Somebody gives them the love and believes that they also should be at the top. They earned 1 first place vote, 190 points. In terms of the 4 seed. We're going to stop it right there and unveil the top 3 in the next segment, but I want to give a chance for these gentlemen to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to make Charles sit on a little bit because he's stirring up a lot of his concern on his face, so I'm going to go the truth first, make him wait on that and tell he what he thinks and the listeners about these first 4 in this top 7. Again, Prairie View A&M Panthers, at number 7, and number 6, Morgan State Bears, at number 5, South Carolina State Bulldogs, at number 4, Southern Jaguars. Drew, tell us what's on your mind.
6 and 7 are interesting. Tremaine Jackson in 2025 is what Damon Wilson was in 2023. The hot Division II coach who moved up to Division I with some hardware in his pocket to see can they duplicate that same success on the Division I level. So I think it's interesting that those two are right there next to each other. Morgan State defense has never been the issue. Can they get it done offensively? Defense wins championships, but you gotta at least score, and that's been Morgan State's problem over the years. And this goes back pre-Damon Wilson that we're talking about with this. The Tremaine Jackson hype machine at number 7. Is it hype or is it hysteria? You know, we're gonna find out real soon. You can make an argument that South Carolina State and Southern should be in the top 3. Even make an argument, no matter if you put them in the top 3 or not, that South Carolina State should be ahead of Southern. So what is this saying, Dr. Cavil? Are we saying South Carolina State is going to have a good non-conference season to go along with their conference season? Because they only have to do 5 games. So in order to get, even when you look at last year's record, to get to 9 wins, they had to win more out of the conference than they did to get to those 9 wins last year. Southern, plus South Carolina State, last year's runner-up. Don't know if your voters gave them the respect that a runner-up is due, or they think they're going to have the hangover from last year. Southern, the Close but No Cigar Award, once again. Can cigar actually light the victory cigar, or will it still be in the wrapper come December?
Good question. I like your breakdowns, and I think all the points you made are certainly valuable at this time of the year. I think all teams, particularly in this new era, are going to have some questions, and some of them more than others, other than what everybody sees for the most part is Jackson State, because it just seems to have so many pieces. But I think even for them, some people question what will they do at the running back positions. Many people believe they're reloaded, but until they get out there, you never know. But so to your point, I think in a lot of ways, what you're saying, Drew, are perfect in terms of people's thoughts. But let's see what Charles said, what direction he's going to go. Is he going to go with you? Is he going to go the opposite direction? Or will he stun us with even more information and insight? Go ahead, Charles.
I think, let me tell you how phenomenal Tremaine Jackson is in terms of not only his body of work, but his bravado and his swagger has thrown Prairie View all the way up to number 7. Because we don't know what the Panthers have out there, but they are that goosebump team that everybody wants to lay eyes on. So it's very interesting to see them up here in that next wave of these elite teams. I think, AD, you touched on it with regards to Morgan State. The question year in, year out, championship level defense offensively, what are they going to be able to do? 4 and 5 are very interesting to me, very interchangeable. South Carolina State, if I'm not mistaken, breaking in a new quarterback. So, for me, question marks always are around, the new face under center, things of that nature, and how quickly that offense can gel and rally around that. But, Southern offensive line has got to take that step up this year. And I mean, they're getting to the SWAC championship game, but it's not with that physicality that we saw in years prior. So it becomes very hard to sustain a running game, and it'll be interesting to see if Trey Holly is that individual who puts them over the top to make them a contender or a team that just you have to keep an eye on them week to week. Defensively, they've been right there in the fray. But I think this is a very interesting group here. It's very we could easily see any of these teams playing in the Celebration Bowl. So a lot of questions, but you've got to feel good with each of these teams if you're a fan of those teams.
Yeah, I think, again, you make some good questions about the hype, and that's the question here. And I think some of it obviously is that hype. But I think if you go a little closer into the framework that took place there, Prairie View over the last 10 years has been at least a solid team. Yeah. And I think because of, and you talking about hype, I think the hype of what happened, the Prairie View in the 80s in terms of that losing streak, 90s or whatever, I think still hovers over them in terms of what that looks like, because they've only been able to get that final mark, if you would, one time in terms of that championship in 2009. But they've been in the hunt consistently. So unlike you think about South Carolina State, that was out of the mix 2 years ago, did play for a championship, got the championship. So people look at them a little different. But nobody was thinking about Chennis Berry. Now all of a sudden everybody's there. Mm-hmm. And the same type of mix is there where he churned the roster. He had talent. He made the talent play up. Prairie View's had talent 2 years ago. They were in a championship game. So they made it through the West, whatever that looks like. And they played for it the last 3 out of 5 years in terms of being in that mix. So some of that talent's there. They have a quarterback that played quite a bit last year. Question just how much talent is, but he's back pushing the transfer. It's like Morgan State, very solid, but nobody's going to really give them the credit until they get it done because they've been dormant for so many years. But anybody that's watched that team football-wise and looked at it know that defensively they've been at the championship level. And even in terms of being able to run the ball, they've been pretty effective with that. If they can get any type of quarterback play, you can make an argument that they certainly would be able to beat the teams in the MEAC on their roster. Same thing with South Carolina State. We know a lot of talent there, but they lost a lot in terms of last year. And so the question is, are you a believer for a lot of these teams? Are you a believer in people's recent history, the history and value that a lot of people put in terms of a brand? Charles says this quite a bit when he thinks about Grambling. You know, it's like they're going to find a way to get there. Now, we're going on a decade. He's like, at some point, it's got to get done. So you tend to give them a little more, you know, right? You tend to give them a little more push than you thought. And it's more about anything. It's the brand. You like, it's just hard to believe that Grambling is going to be down because for the longest period, 50-some years, they found a way to put themselves in the mix over and over. Same way with Southern. Same way for Jackson State, although they were dead literally for a decade.
They were dead.
They were dead. Anybody?
7 whole years. That was a long 7 years.
Right, with pretty much a decade. Now, they got back, and they've come back with a vengeance in a lot of ways. And to me, have really pushed themselves in a whole entirely different direction in terms of where they are at the top of the mountain right now, right? You see that with North Carolina Central. For a period of time, they were just in the mix. Now they're solidly there. Can they finalize that? So, again, I think a lot of this is about your brand and where FAMU, same thing. There was a decade where FAMU couldn't find their way. But once they found it, everybody's like, oh, this is FAMU. You know, for 40 years, they were good. So they tend to get the benefit of the doubt. So I say that all to say is that when you take a closer look and you get beyond just the brand recognition and start looking at the questions, all of these teams have questions. A lot of these teams have areas where you could make the argument that they have a lot of talent. Yeah, for the most part, new coaches that are trying to build. So you're trying to figure that out. I think some people also give benefit to some coaches because they come from a place where coaches can thrive. And so they get a little bit of benefit of the doubt. So that's why I love the season. I think it's going to be fascinating because of so many question marks. And like you said, last year, that anomaly where you had so many teams that had to go to a backup quarterback. Is that the new thing because of just how challenging it in physical teams are now across the board, that you need to go with 2 quarterbacks in the stable to be successful and hope that one of them is a little more prepared the others. Also, in terms of what does the schedule look like? You got these unbalanced schedules. How many are looking at favorable schedules when you get quote unquote your rivalry game or what may be perceived as tougher games? Where are those games? Are they at home? Are they on the road? How do teams play on the road? So those are things that are always fascinating to me that you can put into this formula, and it gives you different outputs of what like that has to say in terms of how many players are coming back and things of that nature. So let's take this break. We'll come back on the other side, look at the top three, and I think y'all have some additional comments you want to share on some of those thoughts, and I'd love for you to bring that back in the next segment.
History? Yeah, we built that. Pride? We fuel that. And on August 30th, we run that. Two powerhouse HBCUs, Howard Bison, FAMU Rattlers, one legendary showdown under the Miami lights at Hard Rock Stadium. The energy unmatched. The culture undeniable. The vibes straight HBCU. 2025 Invesco QQQ Orange Blossom Classic. Get your tickets and book your hotel now at orangeblossomclassic.com. Saturday, August 30th at 4 p.m. in Miami Gardens.
HBCU football fans, the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff is celebrating 20 years this August. From Birmingham to Orlando to campus sites and now in Atlanta. The Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff has been a mainstay in HBCU athletics. 2 decades of providing a national platform on ESPN and now ABC for the finest HBCU programs in the country and some of the most talented players and coaches that have represented them. Forrest Jackson, Tariq Cohen, Javon Hargrave, Darius Leonard, Rod Broadway, Buddy Pugh, all have left their mark on this storied event. This year, we celebrate by welcoming North Carolina Central and Southern to Atlanta, which has cemented its place as the HBCU football capital. Every team who participates in this event looks to start and finish their season in the A by gaining a spot in the Cricket Celebration Bowl. That, however, is earned by becoming conference champions. And it starts right here in week 0. MEAC versus SWAC. The rivalry is real. Thank you for the last 20 years of support. The story never ends.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Charles Bishop and AD Drew. Let's get into the top 3. See what you all have to think about this. Zach says it's impossible to make predictions without looking at schedules. They can be extremely uneven, where a team record is not indicative of how good they really may be. I agree, and that's on both sides in terms of what that looks like. So fascinating to see how we're going here, but let's get into this top 3. Number 3, going into the MEAC, is North Carolina Central Eagles, 8-3, 4-1 in 2024, 2 first-place votes. So that means this Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge kickoff will feature the number 3 team versus the number 4 team, Southern and Jaguars, MEAC and SWAC. That's a nice way to kick off the season when you talk about teams receiving votes in like FCS 25, predicted to win division, if not conference. So fascinating to see what this matchup is. What's good about this matchup, both of these teams get to entertain the fan literally globally early on for a key matchup. And I think we need to celebrate games like this where you have top 5 teams coming in to play each other. And both teams still have a lot of the rest of the season, no matter how this goes. Someone's going to get a really good win, obviously. But even in this case, if you have a loss, you think that it's not a bad loss if there's such a thing, right? So I'm fascinating what that looks like. Let's get in number 2. Number 2 is Florida A&M Rattlers, 7-5, 5-3, 2024. Number 1, interesting to see how the computers calculators kick this all out and put this in. I even have Brian Fulford with the double triple eyes looking in here. I don't know if that's a good triple eyes or a bad triple eyes. I wonder how much of this is maybe about the brand, Charles, about the mighty Eastern Division that you all talk about over the last 4 years of how they dominated the West Division. Different in conversation entirely. They do just have one first place vote, which is one less than the number 3 team, but they ended up with more points, relatively close, 194 to 214. With that being said, you have Jackson State, last year's national champion, that really, once they start growing after their loss to Grambling State, they went undefeated. That game in Grambling did not count in the conference standings. Went undefeated. That was on the road. A lot of fumbles in that game. But they did lose it. 12-2, 8-0, 6 first place votes, 221 points. So it'll be fascinating to see what this looks like. The top 2 teams are coming out of the SWAC preseason when you look at it. But you have 4 of the 7 are the SWAC, 3 out of the 4 out of the MEAC. Pretty balanced there, if you would. Start with you, Charles. Since I put you on ice, I'm going to let you start it off this time. See what you say.
I think you touched on it. Fascinating way to start the season. Number 3 versus number 4. Walker Harris, Jalen Woods, 2 extremely good quarterbacks for one from North Carolina Central, other for Southern. And, it's always when you have a MEAC SWAC matchup, you ask a question about the physicality. I asked going back to the press conference, in terms of matching the quote unquote MEAC physicality. Jackson State was able to answer the bell last season in that regards. We saw that again at the beginning of the season with Florida A&M answering that question. I mentioned in the last segment, I have to see a more physical Southern offensive line because I think North Carolina Central, they are going to bring that physicality in this game, and that's one of the things that you're really paying attention to. And then, Trey Oliver is the best in the business at, being the, we don't get any respect, he is that guy. So, you got to live with it. So North Carolina Central, they always come in with that huge chip on the shoulder. Florida A&M, I think the great question, who will be under center this year? We know they keep a bevy of athletes down there defensively. Will they be back in the mix? I think that's one of the, questions. And I think if you are a fan of the SWAC and you're looking at Jackson State, you're sitting over there saying, yeah, y'all got a lot of pieces, but Irv Mulligan is not there anymore. So I think that's a fair question. That's a fair something to put out there in terms of Jackson State was a hammer last year with regards to the offensive line and Irv Mulligan running in behind that offensive line. I'm sure there'll be questions in terms of what's in the running back room at Jackson State. I know they have a bevy of talent over there, but, to meet that Irv Mulligan standard again, that's a tall tale, and we'll see how this Jackson State team, how they are with the crown on their head. They had, a something that they were going out there for last year, especially after the Grambling game. Jacoby Morgan talked about being humble in that game, and they really jailed after losing the Grambling. But it'll be a very interesting thing to see with regards to Jackson State. What sort of team is this now that they have the crown on their head?
Ooh, good points, good questions. Drew, what are your thoughts of the top 3? Did we set you up a little bit there, or are you intrigued about what the computer spit out with some of the voters aligned with the power rankings in 2025 for the top 7? In this case, we're looking at those top 3.
Brian, I need you to go ahead and log off the podcast. You may not like what I'm gonna say, and you're gonna text me and tell me to turn my card in after this one. Doc, I think you pulled out my old computer that everybody used to talk about on the BCSN poll rankings with this one, Dr. Cavil.
Yes, sir.
There's no way in hell FAMU should start out the season at number 2. Central, Southern. So, is this SWAC East bias, Dr. Cavil? where we said the predicted number 2 team in the East is better than the predicted number 1 team in the West.
Been that way the last couple of years.
You're right, except every year when you look up, Doc, the 2 teams with the best records, number 1 in the East and number 1 in the West.
Right.
Except for that one blip when the 7-6 game, when FAMU lost 7-6 to Jackson State. Every other year, it's been the number 1 team in the West, number 1 team in the East have been the top 2 in the SWAC.
Overall standing. That's true.
Right.
That's true.
So FAM, I mean, I would love to see FAM in this position. Don't get me wrong.
I got you.
I hate the fact that if they do finish the season in this position and Jackson State finishes number 1, they finish outside the money once again, because that means they didn't beat Jackson State to go ahead and make it to the SWAC championship game. But given what FAMU did last year, of the top 5 teams on this list, Dr. Cavil, FAMU was the only one who laid an egg last year.
They did.
They laid a turkey egg, not a chicken egg. That was a big egg that they laid last year.
They laid an ostrich egg.
Now, I'm gonna take it. Now, FAMU does play the number 1 and the number 3 team preseason at home.
They get them at the crib
and travel to the number 4 team. So if FAM's going to do it, they have the schedule to prove that they do it, and they will earn it. They have an opportunity to earn it. So FAMU will not be paper champions should they win those 3 games right there. So I think, and I'm gonna go ahead and jump ahead. Leave Jackson State at number 1, Dr. Cavil.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I have to put South Carolina State number 2.
Okay.
And because Chennis Berry has not lost a conference game since 2021.
Very true.
So I have to leave, until he loses a conference game, I have to leave him, and he's my favorite coming out the beginning. No disrespect to Trey Oliver, but I've got to see it.
Oh, he heard your disrespect. He heard your disrespect.
No, that's not disrespect to
Trey
Trey Oliver.
But as I was saying earlier, to me, I would have to give the edge to Carolina with the quarterback coming back, right? And you talk about that game is in Durham.
It's in Durham.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. It's a home game. To me, I would give edge there. But I see why you're saying this. Until I guess the king
until somebody beats Chennis Berry in league play, I have to go for, just like until somebody beat FAMU at home, you always pick FAMU and Bragg. Now Valley proved that wrong. So somebody
do we?
Chennis Berry theory wrong. What was that?
I said, do we? We always pick FAMU and Bragg.
Well, they had won 25 in a row at Bragg. So you never picked against FAM at Bragg until last year, until Valley came in and shocked everybody. So it's probably going to be Delaware State.
He didn't pick
I say that. That's going to end the Chennis Berry run. So, the team that nobody expects to win.
I just don't have the Bragg Spookies. I have never had the Bragg Spookies. So I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, it's going to be fascinating because that Jackson State game is
this first time Jackson State has been to Bragg in what, about 82 years?
No, 2000, what?
18. Was it 18?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
18, 19.
Well, we need to get into this break so we can bring our guests on as we get in this break. I do want to say one thing that obviously opening weekend with 3 versus 4 in the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge kickoff is fascinating. But there are some matchups the second weekend where you have these top teams in there. Now that Orange Blossom Classic, you have a top 2 ranked FAMU going in there. Obviously, you have number 1 Jackson State hosting Hampton. You have number 7 Prairie View in a conference game against a rival, Texas Southern University. So you have some big matchups featuring some significant games that weekend that really is interesting to me when you talk about these top 7. They set up for some first 2 weeks intriguing ways to watch this game and give you some talking points in terms of rankings and what that looks like, matchups that you can keep your eyes on. Let's go to our last break, come back on the other side,
Can I get one thing out before we go on the break? Because I want to get the bad out the way and end on the positive note with John.
Yep.
R.I.P. to Danielle Spencer, aka D from What's Happening. You know, she was one of only two black teenage females that we saw growing up on TV in the 70s outside of Thelma from Good Times. So, you know, quietly, I think everybody in our age group had a little bit of a crush on Danielle Spencer at one point in time in our lives. So, R.I.P. to D.
Yep. Moment of silence as we go into this break. Thank you, Drew. We'll be back on the other side.
Get ready for the inaugural Unity Classic, Saturday, September 13th at Nathaniel Glover Community Field and Stadium. It's a clash of the Virginia Union Panthers of the CIAA and the Edward Waters Tigers of the SIAC. Plus, an HBCU band battle between the Edward Waters Triple Threat Marching Band and the Virginia Union Ambassadors of Sound. The inaugural Unity Classic goes down in fall.
This is Ryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
History? Yeah, we built that. Pride? We fuel that. And on August 30th, we run that. Two powerhouse HBCUs, Howard Bison, FAMU Rattlers, one legendary showdown under the Miami lights at Hard Rock Stadium. The energy unmatched. The culture undeniable. The vibes straight HBCU. 2025 Invesco QQQ Orange Blossom Classic. Get your tickets and book your hotel now at orangeblossomclassic.com. Saturday, August 30th at 4 p.m. in Miami Gardens.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app. As we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Football fans, HBCU football is back in the ATL with the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff. Representing the MEAC, North Carolina Central, and representing the SWAC, Southern Eagles, Jaguars, the Marching Sound Machine, the Human Jukebox. The kickoff trophy is up for grabs, and bragging rights are on the line. The rivalry is real. Bring the family and join us pre-game for the fun-filled Coca-Cola fan experience, including band jamborees, food, activations, and fellowship. For tickets and information, visit MEACSWACChallenge.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Charles Bishop, AD Drew. We have none other than Executive Director of a triumphant, if you would, number of ESPN events, which is John Grant. And those events are, as we led off, talking about what features a top 7 matchup, number 3 versus number 4, North Carolina Central versus Southern Jaguars, or some people like to say the SWAC MEAC. So number 4 Southern Jaguars versus number 3 North Carolina Central Eagles. In the cricket, MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff, also obviously over the Cricket Celebration Bowl and the Band of the Year. It kind of kicks off that weekend of events for the Cricket Celebration Bowl with none other than due. All of you all have to know John Grant, but for those that don't, we made sure that we introduced him properly. How you doing today?
I'm good, gentlemen. Thank you all for having me. But before I get started, I'm happy to be back on this show, and thank you for the invitation. But I'm going to go back to something I said to you guys at the SWAC Media Day. The show needs to be renamed. Charles Bishop needs to get promoted. I will promote him back up after, he stumbled for a minute. So I'm going to say it should be at this point, the Inside the Sports Lab with Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, Charles Bishop, and now special guest A.D. Drew. So I love my friend Mike, but where is Mike? Can somebody find him? Do we need to send out a search party for him?
I'm with you on that part. I'm with you on that very much. We do need to send out.
I love him. He can at least make a cameo every now and then.
Hey, John, he's on the media list.
Now, I told you, big time. All he does is show up for the big time events. He's to the SWAC football media today. He's showing up at the cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge kickoff. He's there for the cricket celebration bowl. So if you're not big events, ESPN events, I'm not sure if you're gonna get Mike. So I like the idea of renaming the show in terms of that, and we try to do that. I'm glad to see that Charles is back on the good list. You were concerned after we left Birmingham. I wasn't so sure.
Thank you for the promotion. Yes.
Hey, be careful with that. I checked the budget. That's not on paper yet. We had to sign off. I don't quite have the kind of budget to try to grasp working with ESPN events. Bless it. We're not there yet. We still working at it. In all seriousness, it's good to have you. Good time of the year. We all excited about football as I teased it. Really seriously though. I mean, you do tremendous job in your matchups, and sometimes it's just blessed to be good because you got a feature one here, as you talked about at the kickoff media presser, where you brought to the attention to everybody, Jay did, that these teams were literally one game away from playing in for the big prize at the end of the year, the Cricket Celebration Bowl. But here they are to kick things off. So one of the first times where both teams have legitimate chances, at least by the talent. And now we see by the ranking, 3 versus 4, 4 versus 3, in terms of being able to get back, start in Atlanta and end in Atlanta. Fascinating. I know my Jackson folks will be out there looking a little different. FAMU folks don't want to hear all this, but boy, you talking about if both teams start there and end there, boy, we have to shut it all down. But with it being said, what has you excited about this matchup?
Well, the thing that has me excited the most is, the fact that you guys just put those rankings out. I'm going to side with AD a little bit on the number 2, although I'm a big supporter. But I don't quite get that one just yet. When you're defending MEAC champion, was dropped down to like number 5. But I'm a neutral guy in this, and we accept the champions regardless of who those champions are. But we're excited because these are 2 historic programs, 2 winning programs, and as you indicated, that 2 programs that were literally just one game away, one play away, whatever you want to call it, from being in Atlanta last year competing for the national championship. So to bring them back to open up the college football season in week 0, was fortunate for us because we picked these teams back in 2020 with no idea that this is is the way it would be. But God is obviously good and is shining His grace on us for this year. So, and the fact that there's history, that these teams have only played once. And that was in 2006, I believe the year was. And North Carolina Central went down to Baton Rouge to pull out a win over Southern 27-20. So
it ended up being my mid-major national champion and some other folks champion that year before there was an opportunity to play in a celebration.
Absolutely. So that's the most exciting thing to me. And I think that this is going to be really exciting for the fans. Think about this. Southern fans haven't been in Atlanta since about 2012 to play. And to have them, the excitement around that. I know that, North Carolina Central, and I put this out there for everyone. When we put this matchup together, and I talked to AD Banks at Southern to say, and I asked the question was, well, who, would you have interested in matching up with? He said, I want Central. So I wasn't trying to start anything when I put that out there anymore. However, I did tell Trey Oliver you were requested, and so and
hey, facts are facts. Stubborn things.
So that's what makes this matchup rather wonderful.
Man, yeah, you got some entertaining coaches on both sides. They can really talk with you with a lot of further and bring a lot of flavor. HBCU lifers that are connected. Obviously, you're talking about playing in both divisions and levels for coaches as they come up the ranks. So fascinating when you talk about that. Let me go to you, Drew, for a follow-up question for John.
Oh my God, John, didn't we just do this like 2 days ago on the air, man?
I'm making the rounds. Look, when you got something good, people want to have you come on the air. So I'm appreciative of Dr. Cavil and you guys for having me on this show. We're trying to spread the gospel of HBCU college football, Drew, and the fact that we're able to open the entire college football season with this game is exciting for all of HBCU football. And to have a matchup like this is going to be something people certainly going to want to watch.
3 versus 4. Go ahead.
All right. Obviously, one of the hot stories of the day is the chatter around the FAMU Valley game. While I never asked you to comment on somebody else's classic or somebody else's game on the air, but I will ask you this. Can you kind of explain to people how tough it is to put together matchups like that? How everybody thinks they can put these classes together, and just because we slap classic on it, we gonna sell 50,000 tickets and everything. But there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, a lot of politicking and phone calls and conversations and everything. Just kind of take some people behind the curtain and let people really understand how tough it is, because it's just not go to this city, call it a classic, find 2 teams, and we play ball.
Well, AD, that is an excellent question. It is an excellent question, and it's a question that should be asked more. What I would say, and I would tell any school now that's, if someone's approaching you about putting on they want to put on a classic game, it's almost like if you're trying to start an airline. It's a capital intensive business. And you have to make sure, one, that you have the resources to be able to secure, all the things that are necessary venues. You want to make sure that you have the resources to be able to compensate the teams. And you have those resources on the front side. You can't count on, well, we're going to make so much on ticket sales, etc., and then hope that we're going to pay the team. So if I were a school and someone approached me about doing that, I would want my money up front and get my guarantees in that regard. And then you have to look at the fact that you cannot do these games on ticket sales alone. If you don't have corporate sponsorship and a significant amount of it in today's scenario, then any promoter that's looking to try to start this because they look at it and think that it's easy, like you said, to just pick a city, slap a name on it, call it a classic, and people will just come. The idea that you have to be able to pay the bills, it is business, and you have to approach it as, from a business perspective first, and that's number two. The first couple of things, and not all promoters are capable. I mean, just in terms of doing this and doing it right, and then doing it at the level that's necessary. So I would always raise a cautionary sign to anyone today that's saying, hey, I want to put on a classic game, and thinking it's that easy, because what you're going to find today, as the market continues to increase, the need for additional resources and the payouts to have teams participate will will and should continue to increase, that it's going to be a challenge on a lot of games that exist today. But more importantly, like I said, it's just a cautionary tale that I would raise for any school where someone is coming to you saying, "Hey, let us put this game on for you," and you have to do your due diligence from a business perspective to look deeply at the capability of whoever the promoter is and their ability to financially sustain this over a period of time, and to assure that you're compensated, because many of our HBCUs, we know this is no secret that they've entered into these agreements and not often either didn't get paid at all, receive partial payments, etc. And that's the worst thing that could happen now for any school to enter into any kind of agreement, especially with someone putting on something like this that doesn't have the means and the resources on the front side to assure that they're going to secure the compensation that they have agreed to on the front side.
Good stuff. Charles, please.
John, let me follow up. And you talked about preaching the gospel of HBCU college football. And for years, you've talked about the importance of eyeballs on the contest. And I wanted to kind of follow up with regards to, the business of college football. Speak to the fans in terms of the continued importance of putting your eyeballs on this game, as well as HBCU college football in general.
Well, let's. All you have to do, all any of us has to do, is stop and take a look at what's happening in college football today. When you looked at conference realignment, why did those realignments occur? Schools were chasing the money. You have with the transfer portal, you have NIL money, and you see a lot of athlete movement. What are they doing? Athletes are chasing the money, and then you have to take where does that money come from? It's media dollars. Media dollars are driving, whether it's professional sports, and now they're driving collegiate sports. The days for us, let's say right now, I was talking and I heard him on your last show talking to Commissioner Holloman today. The SIAC has more televised games this year than they ever have in history. And if you go down the list of the SWAC will have more televised game with their agreement with ESPN, with HBCU Go, and with SWAC TV than they've ever had in the history of the conference. The same thing will happen with the CIAA as well as the MEAC. So when you put all that together, the landscape has shifted. The landscape has shifted, and if we're going to be viable, then our viability will rest in how we get access to creating value in for our institutions around driving viewership and therefore driving media revenue into our conferences. It is really the only way, because that's the model that's out there. Where from my view, my personal opinion, and I see this regularly, we talk about the largest of games, and we will say, and rightfully so, if you're measuring it the old way, whether it's the Bayou Classic at 60,000, the Magic City Classic, and they say, well, we're the largest games. Well, that's using an outdated model. The largest games are measured by total live audience. It's not just how many people can you get that are in your stadium. It's how many people are engaging with the consumption of your content, whether they're live or whether they are watching it in person. And so as a result, the revenue and the true dollars lie in the ability to drive engagement, fan engagement. And the largest way to do that is through television, and then utilizing the platform of TV to drive additional revenue to your university. So here's someone I want to call out for that. I want to take my hat off to Ashley Robinson, because Ashley and I had a conversation on this the first time that Jackson State made it to the Cricket Celebration Bowl in 2021. and Ashley took it to heart. And all you have to do is look at what's happening with Jackson State and why you had Jackson State rated number 1 and why TC Taylor is able to get the talent that he's getting, why he's able to retain talent, why he's able to pay NIL monies, because you have an athletic director who understands the value of utilizing the platform of television and monetizing that on behalf of the university. And he is doing a fantastic job with that. And I've said that to him directly as well. And he should be a model. What he's doing is a model for what every other AD should be doing. And if all of them did that in that way, if you are able to raise through monetizing your visibility on television, how do you do that? You do that by communicating with your alumni and fans. And it's a regular communication. TV is like church. People will sit. If I can't come to the game, I want to sit and I want to watch my team. If my team wins, you need to pass a plate. Meaning a letter should go out with a communication that says, hey, we want to support our student athletes, etc. You have an opportunity to help us with that and other things we're doing at the university. Put a link in that letter and say, click right here and make a donation. And that's what he's doing. It's as simple. It's not brain surgery. It's making sure that you don't just be on TV just for the sake of TV. You're on TV to use that to continue to monetize that platform on behalf of the university. And that's what the big programs are doing. And they've mastered it. They've been doing it for so long. They have entire, organizations set up inside the university athletic department just to do that. Constant communication with alumni, with donors, with corporate partners, etc. So that was a great question, Charles. But that's where our opportunity is. We have to transition to the next phase. And if I can touch on one more thing on that. Sure. So because I heard some of the conversation about the North Carolina Central and South Carolina State game being moved to Friday. And what some will think of that being a Friday game, etc. Look, that game is going to be on ESPN main network at 5 p.m. on a Friday. If there is no way that the conference or the universities could have or should have turned that down, you're going to have more people exposed to North Carolina Central and to South Carolina State in a big game, leading into a big ACC game with Clemson and Louisville, I believe. Following that, you have to take that. Now, what fans have to do is recognize that we have this opportunity. Now, we have to modify ourselves and go support our institution, not complain because they're not playing on Saturday. Any other school, any other conference would take that in a heartbeat. Just like they take playing on Tuesday night, they take playing on Wednesday night, they take playing on Thursday night and will take it gladly, where our institutions, our conferences, the MEAC and the SWAC, are getting better TV opportunities than any of the other FCS conferences. None of them are on the ABC. None. None of them
some of the G5.
You're absolutely correct. So I'm giving you a long answer to your question, but I think it's important for us to communicate to our fans that it's in order we have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Meaning you can't always have the game. When we started the Celebration Bowl, I was told repeatedly and adamantly, no one is coming to a 12 o'clock game. No one would come to a 12 o'clock game. But there was no way we were going to move it off of 12 and give up the ABC time slot. So what was the end of that story?
Made it work.
People come to a 12 o'clock game.
And tailgating at 10:30 in the morning.
The morning. So thank you for indulging me on that. But I think it was important to get that message out.
Sure. No, I think it's important, as we do on this show, not only is it about entertainment, but it's also about education. I think an informed fan is a better fan. And we take that to heart, that while we love to entertain, we love to play, there's a point where we need to understand the business side of this, and we can't just guess at the business side of this. We can't just illuminate what it means to feel comfortable. It means taking a deep dive and understanding the business part of this. Some things are changed. Some things are going to be things that we're not comfortable with. But once we know, we educate enough folks, they'll find a way, as you said, to be comfortable about being uncomfortable, if it's going to be meaning being comfortable with our institutions doing better financially, such that we can move forward. With that, we talked about the matchup. We talked about the event. We talked about some business side of this. Let's go back to the event before we close up and taking your valuable time and allow you to get your evening back. Is talk about some of the things associated with the game for fans that are going to be there, but also some of the things that fans can look at in terms of understanding the television side of that, of what to look for, what to do if they're not going to be there in person, what they can do to expect about catching it live, about what time this game is going to be broadcast.
Very, very good question. Thank you for asking that. You know, our team works very hard in assuring that we're creating a world-class experience, you know, for the fans who come. We work very hard to make sure that we're creating a world-class experience, second to none, for the student athletes who get to participate, who are on that stage and are getting to show and their talent in front of, you know, the nation. And we also want to make sure that same world-class experience exists for those who watch. So you see this picture behind me. This is last year's game. I don't think you can hardly see an empty seat in the house. And that's the case because we work very hard to assure that you're not going to a game. You're going to an experience. And so that includes from the time that a person decides they want to come and how easy it for them to get information. You can visit our website at MEACSWACchallenge.com. All the information is there for you. We try to make it that way for our media representatives. So as you well know, we've done things where we show a media appreciation because you guys are the ones that tell the story for us to those that are out there, like you allow me to do here today. And so the beautiful thing about when you have something in Atlanta, you don't have to create a lot of things. Atlanta itself has a lot that it has to offer, and a lot of people come here with predetermined activities that they have in their mind, whether they're going to the mall, to shop, Lenox Square, whether they're going out to see their family and hang out with them, whether they're partying in the hotels. They're going right now. There are 3 parties that are taking place that aren't necessarily with us, but we know that they're happening on Friday night, and as well as, you know, Atlanta's nightlife speaks for itself as well. So what we do, Dr. Cavil, ourselves, is we're focusing on how do we create an experience for the fan. We allow the universities that are throwing their own parties, they're throwing their own fundraisers. North Carolina Central and Southern, they both have golf tournaments on Friday that we are promoting. So we don't want to compete with those. So we're not creating an event that will compete with those, but we will help them promote the events that they have. So we start on Thursday partnering with the HBCU Alumni Alliance and the Atlanta Braves, and the Braves have HBCU night at the stadium, which is in essence promotes and raises money for the Alliance that's giving scholarships back to people, young kids attending HBCUs. We promote that and we're engaged with that. In turn, what the Braves are doing is they're promoting the SWAC Challenge game at the Braves game. There's going to be a lot of people, and there continues to be, and they throw a huge party at the Roxy. They throw a huge party on Thursday night at the Roxy. Leading into
That's Atlanta, baby. 8 times.
It is, and so we make sure that we make an appearance there for that. And as I indicated on Friday, there are a number of activities that are taking place that are being done by the universities for their alumni and so forth that are in town, and the golf tournaments they have on Friday. Saturday is the Coca-Cola fan experience that starts at 3:00 right outside of the stadium. Charles, you'll be happy to know that I got a call today from your constituents with Jackson State to inform me that they're having a huge tailgate, starting with the game with free food. All you have to do is bring a beverage.
And just to troll Southern fans, yeah.
So I was
only in the SWAC. It's rough in the SWAC, baby.
It's rough in the SWAC. But you know, we love it because when you can bring that kind of competitive camaraderie to somewhere like a game like this, and fans are willing to come and be a part of it and own it as their own. I mean, we, not us as ESPN and ESPN events, but we, the HBCU family, are opening all of college football. And Dr. Cavil and Mike and Charles and AD, you see that?
Mike not here.
You see what I just did? Mike is haunting me and he's not even here.
He said, yeah, he gonna teach you messing with him.
So what I was saying, gentlemen, is that, this game, and we talk about the business, I'm going to weave in and out of that for one more moment.
Yep.
This game, for the last 2 years, has been the second most watched game on Saturday to kick off the season. The most watched game, the last 2 years, both were played in Ireland. Air Force against Notre Dame in 2023 and Georgia Tech against Florida State in 2024. Both games played in Ireland. They were the number one watch games both years. Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge was number 2, which made this game the most watched game played in America.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to repeat that. We're one of 7 games played on that day.
That's huge. Yep.
One of 7. And so as far as what we have as an HBCU community, this is a to open all of college football in that position with the second most watched game that exists, and then to open up the bowl season with the Cricket Celebration Bowl, with a game that's ranked this year number 8 in viewership and number 11 in attendance out of the 37 New Year's 6 or CFP games. This is what the engine that is driving and pulling along and causing to happen all of the other things that's happening in the HBCU space. And we are fortunate to be able, all of us, to be able to have that. So we have to come and celebrate. We have to come and support, whether it's this game, games at each other's institutions, etc. But we have to move that part forward.
Good stuff. I want to say appreciate you. Know we got to get it out here, but I want to say this, since Jackson State is in the business of trolling Southern, I'm going to put the challenge out there and say, Grambling, you might need to step your game up in terms of trolling. You might want to send your food out there. I'm trying to get everybody fed. I laid the gauntlet. I told you all about the fact about the rivalry status. When it looks like Jackson State is putting up there, you all claim some dislike for Southern. Certainly have your thing going on with Jackson State, so you might want to come out there and do your trolling. Well, in terms of the MEAC, you all have your thing with the SWAC, and you all are talking about measuring up. It might be time for you to understand to step your trolling level up. I know there's a thing with the school down the road or whatever you want to call it, A&T. You can't be invited to the MEAC SWAC Challenge. You made a different decision, but you control. South Carolina State, I know this has not been really nice in terms of how it's going back and forth. You might want to get your troll level up. On to the ladder, come deep. We can invite a lot of these schools and SWAC, MEAC, if there's some other schools that want to get into the trolling business, you're welcome to. Let's feed and learn. Come on down there. Let's have a good old HBCU culture time. They did say that the HBCU picnic is that weekend, so you might as well get your troll on. Come on out. Let's get this going. Take this to the next level, and let's have an HBCU troll-a-thon. With that being said,
wait a minute. You just came up with something that, dog, you throwing things around now. I got that one. That did not get past me. HBCU troll-a-thon. Now, if that comes up again, I'm going to give you all the credit for it.
I appreciate it. That's all I need.
You may see that again.
Doc, you better send that trademark.
I
know. Hey, it's recorded. It's recorded. With that being said, I'm gonna put John Grant on the clock. We're gonna test him with this. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, come from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop, as well as A.D. Drew. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. In a couple of weeks, we'll be going back to our Sunday edition during football season at 9 a.m. where we will reveal our top 7 of the major division as we have now traditionally moved that last season. That was a recommendation for my friend right here, Mr. John Grant, and it worked out really well. So look forward to seeing that on Sunday mornings as we collect all the data. He got me going up extra early, late, I should say, Saturday night, but it worked out. We'll do it for the people. We look forward to next week or Tuesday, I should say, as we discuss the latest in the news. We will unveil the top 7 for the mid-major. We have Steve Gaither, HBCU Game Day, coming on here to give us a perspective with Drew, to give us some love for the mid-majors. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Threads, Facebook, and Instagram. That's DrKenyattaCavil. That's DrKenyattaCavil. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Facebook. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. As you know, when you want it on demand to check out the show, you can catch it there. We end it here. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles.
Course.
AD.
Lecture.
Mr. John Grant.
Dismissed.
A+. A+ on the exam. Good job. The dean is proud.
There we go.
Yep.